What's up, everyone? This is Nick from Budget Decks, and today I have a not so budget deck for you. But gasp, Nick, what do you mean, a not so budget deck? This is a deck over $30? Well, yeah, you're right. This is actually a deck almost three times that in value, actually a little more than three times that in value. What you see before you is a Blue Eyes deck, which will currently retail you roughly $109.74. That's right, I appraised it. So before I kind of jump into the deck profile of this, my whole idea behind this is I want to show you guys my indulgence into Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, full disclaimer, I'm not that good at Yu-Gi-Oh! As you've probably discovered from my profiles at this point. I just like to build decks. I like to build them for cheap. That's where I find the fun in Yu-Gi-Oh! Whether or not the deck is all that extremely good, let's be real here. That's budget decks, not super meta budget decks. It's just budget decks. I do it as cheap as I can, and even with my more expensive decks, I'm doing it the same way. Now, to be fair, this is one of my few indulgences into Yu-Gi-Oh! I am not perfect. I do like to spend money, and I do like to have a good deck every now and again. And this is, I would say, probably my second or third best deck out of all of them. I do have a few more expensive decks I want to show off later down the line, but right now we're going to start with this. My goal with this is, after this video, I am now then going to do several other videos of decks that I have made, and their total value will add up to this deck's price of $109.74. Obviously, give or take a few bucks, but we're going to try it. So that way you can kind of see how much you can really make your dollar go for you versus, building one deck or building 5 decks. Anyway, let's jump into this. This is a Blue Eyes deck profile. Look at my beautiful hands. They are very weird. Blue Eyes deck profile. As with all things, we are going to start with the extra deck. Two copies. Fuck, I already forgot how many copies are in my extra deck. 2 copies of Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. He's a pretty cool card. Banish Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. He gets to attack twice. I don't really know the rest of his effect because I'll be real with you, I don't really get him out that much. And then 1 copy of Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon just so you can banish him off of his effect. And then to round up the fusions is Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. For those that do not know, in case you've been living under a rock, Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon, he attacks twice, can't be destroyed by battle. Any card that would battle him or something like that, he does some banishing or whatever. And he attacks twice. And he's a contact fusion, so you don't need to use polymerization or anything. You just kind of go into him. So that kind of rounds up our fusions. That was pretty easy, right? Pretty painless. XYZs, again, real talk, I don't really use them that often because I usually win before even getting them out. Neo Galaxy Eyes, whatever. Photon Dragon, Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon, Galaxy Eyes Prime, Photon Dragon, and number 107. The one I use out of all these the most would be either him or him. These are the 2 I use the most. This one steals a card. This one, I'm just going to zoom in right here and you can read the effect if you want. Pause the video. All right. He does some negation. That's pretty good. If you wanted to spend more money, unlike me, you can get I believe it's number 38, Galaxy Hope Harbinger of Dick Slap. So serious talk though, like if you really wanted to bump it up, get rid of like this fucker and just put number 38 in there. All right. We all know about the card. We all know it's good. It's in every fucking deck profile. Moving on. And then last but not least is Lancelot. My boy Lancelot here, he gets his own little slot because I feel like he's an underrated dude. He's a rank 8, slap over 2 Blue Eyes, attack your opponent directly, and he negates spell or trap card when it's activated. He's not bad. Caveat of this card, if you activate a spell or trap though, he does negate it by detaching it. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Don't worry about it. It's a good card though. Trust me, because that could help you end game. Next, Synchros, 2 copies of Azure Eyes, just your standard bring back your Blue Eyes boys. And then 2 copies of Spirit, because obviously we need to negate them graveyard effects. And you can, tribute to bring out Azure. So, all in all, that's a pretty standard Blue Eyes extra deck. I think everyone knows those cards. When you think Blue Eyes, you're like, oh, those fucking things. They got that turn 1 Spirit Dragon every single fucking hand. Yeah, you're completely right. That's how it is. It's fucking Blue Eyes. Everyone knows how it runs. Easy shit. All right, on to the main course, if you will. Today we will be dining on 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Duh. Because it is the hero of the deck. He has the sickest artwork. My boy Kaiba loves him. Who doesn't love a good threesome of Blue Eyes White Dragons? And then, wait a minute, 3 more Blue Eyes White Dragons? That's right, 3 more copies of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. Now, these fuckers are a little expensive. I believe last I checked, they were between $10 to $15, but they are basically a Cyber Dragon because they special summon themselves out onto the field by revealing one of these bitches, and they target destroy once per turn. And they act as a Blue Eyes White Dragon on the field and in the graveyard, so you can get that very nice fusion, you know what I mean? And then rounding up our Dragon Boys is going to be 2 copies of Dragon Spirit of White. He's basically your back row destruction. He's another level 8, so you can use him for the trade-in engine. And he also acts as a Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is fucking dope. And, of course, my favorite card in the entire deck, 2 copies of Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. And I know what you're thinking, but Nick, isn't he a brick in the hand? Well, yes, he is, but we run trade-in. He's a level 8. He's a monster. Discard. So, and that's a plus, and that's a, you know, that's a +0, whatever the fuck your guys' Yu-Gi-Oh math is these days. And it's, I don't know, it's a good fucking card. Like, and he's a little expensive, granted, but that double piercing is literally sex, especially going up against like super heavy samurais, which is, you know, in the meta in my locals right now. And it's, you know, it is what it is. Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon is, in my opinion, one of the best cards in the deck. He is a little bricky, yes, but that's why you run trade-in, so it's not as bricky. Plus, you'll see. I got some bullshit up my sleeve. Okay, yeah, there we go. Nice and unorganized. So just how I like it. Just like my life. Just gonna nice and disheveled. All right. Next, we bring out the supporting characters. 3 copies of everyone's favorite waifu, Maiden with Eyes of Blue. She basically summons shit. And when she's attacked, she summons shit. When you target her, she summons shit. But wait, not just when the opponent targets her, but when you target her with one of your 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue, he searches a level 1 tuner when he's summoned to the field. Or something else he does that's really cool is he will then, you know, discard, target, destroy Maiden. And, you know, she summons Blue Eyes off of that. He summons Blue Eyes off of that. And you just got more Blue Eyes on the field. So, you know, everyone's happy with that. And then we do 1 copy of Master with Eyes of Blue. A lot of people don't run him. I'll be honest, I get it. Like, he's not that good. And, you know, he's one of the few guys he's hard to get with an ultra rare or whatever the fucking kids want these days. You damn kids and your sparkly cards. Like, come on, it's all about them commons. He basically is just some extra resurrection. If you run Foolish Burial in the deck, he's a good Foolish Burial target. Because when he's in the grave, you can activate his effect to target 1 monster in the field, a la Maiden. Destroy it. You know, pop using Maiden's effect, special summon Blue Eyes, and then he special summons 1 Blue Eyes from the grave. So he's just a little bit of extra resurrection power. You could easily cut him out, but he's like 5 cents, first of all, so he's a pretty cheap addition, and he's actually pretty fucking useful, and he's a level 1 tuner. And I like his artwork, actually. Like, he's just like, he's so done with this shit. Like, he's done this for so fucking long. Like, look, Maiden's all like, oh, what's up, guys? I'm gonna just go save the day. And then you have fucking Sage, who is younger than fucking Master, by the way. Look how young, like, Sage is in comparison to how old Master is. Master is literally like, fucking Sage doesn't know shit. All right? He is fed up with their bullshit, and he knows his role. He knows that dragons are in the graveyard. He knows he needs to fucking resurrect that bitch. All right? So trust me. Master's the way to go. Just because of the artwork. Anyway, continuing. 2 copies of White Stone of Ancients. I would run 3, but I'm poor. And plus, I actually don't like White Stone of Ancients that much. It's, you know, unpopular opinion. But to be fair, I am running Chaos Max, so a lot of you Blue Eyes players have already just written me out of your entire book of logic. So it's fine. My opinion doesn't matter anyway. It's the internet. And then 2 copies of White Stone of Legend. Reason being I am running 2 copies of White Stone of Legend is because I not running 3 copies of White Stone of Ancients. So, you know, I would add in a 3rd copy if I could, but I can't, so I shan't. He searches off of Blue Eyes, he special summons a Blue Eyes, and he does some graveyard recovery if you banish him. So, you know, it's pretty... This one does, not this one. This one just searches. This one just special summons and recovers. Anyway, you get the point. That rounds up our monsters. You know, it's a very, again, very standard Blue Eyes deck, I think. You know, you're probably like, wow, I wonder what bullshit Nick has up his sleeve. Nope, nothing. I just kind of compiled all the cards and, you know, tested them online, and this is, you know, the format I like for what I have. Next up, we are going to be showing you the spell cards, which I could have sworn I had 3 copies of this card, but apparently I only have 2. Where'd my common copy go? Oh, fuck. Hold up. Hold the phone. There it is. I misorganized it. We're good. Next up is 3 copies of Silver's Cry, because I'm not going to pay money for that one crazy dragon resurrection spell that everyone likes so much and is like, protect your dragon in the grave. And that's fucking cool, but, you know, I'm poor. So... cutting my losses here. Silver's Cry, pretty good card. 3 copies of it. It's a Monster Reborn for Blue Eyes White Dragons. It's pretty dope. And then 3 copies of the obvious, most powerful search engine of all time. Discard a Blue Eyes. Get like 3 searches off it if you're using the fucking stone, or you get the point. There's just a lot of search power. And then 2 copies of Chaos Form. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my god, Nick. 2 copies. Isn't that a brick? Well, yes, it is a brick. And, you know, it's hard to draw into. But the thing that I found out is Chaos Max is searchable off of this. So all you have to really do is worry about drawing into this. And with the amount of search power the deck has, and the amount of special summoning power, it's honestly, I draw into this a lot, surprisingly. Like, whether it's in my hand first turn or, you know, just off a trade-in or something. Like, I seem to get it a lot. I just really seem to get that a lot. So maybe I'm lucking out. That probably is. Because I'm running 2 copies of Trade-In and 1 copy of Cards of Consonance. So this is an interesting choice, I think, for Blue Eyes players. I haven't really seen this before, where it's 2 Trade-In, 1 Cards of Consonance. Now that I said that, someone's going to be like, so-and-so did it last year. And it's, yeah, fuck you. I didn't see that shit. I saw my shit, though. This is my shit. Okay? First of all, didn't have a 3rd copy of Trade-In. So I kind of cut my losses, and I'm like, all right, we're doing Cards of Consonance. So, Cards of Consonance, really good card because, you know, discard a card and even shows you what to fucking do in the card. You know, you discard the Stone of Legend and you search a fucking card, and then you get to draw 2 cards. Guess what? That's a plus what? 1? That's a plus 1, whatever your fucking math is. So, you have 4 targets for this card, which is fantastic. And then you have like 8 targets for this card. You're going to get this card more often in your second draw because there's only 2 copies of it, which is really good. And you're going to get this in your third draw most likely because there's only 1 copy of it. That's how I rationalize it. This makes a lot of sense. Trust me on it. Try this ratio. You're going to get this shit more often. I promise. It works really well. Your Manju of 10,000 hands doesn't fucking work with me, all right? I'm sorry. It just doesn't. It doesn't, and he's expensive, and I want to cry because he's so expensive. Continuing. Getting so frustrated over this deck profile that I made it so special for you guys. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna give him a treat. I'm gonna show him something pricey, something I wasted my money on. Well, not waste, but something I spent my money on, and now I'm all frustrated and mad about it. 1 copy of Dragon's Mirror to get my big fusion boys out. 1 copy of Dragon Shrine. 1 copy of Dark Hole because I'm too poor for Regeki. 1 copy of 1 for 1, and that rounds up our spells right there. Special summoning, destroying the fields, fusion, graveyard shit. All right. So that's, you know, it is what it is. And last but not least, the Trap Roundup. Whoa, what are you doing there? Oh, you want to stay on the field, don't you? Nah, we want to see Dark Magician Girl. That's what we want to see. Wait, no, I negate her summoning by activating Grand Horn of Grand Horn of Heaven. This card is really great, other than the fact that it is basically a horn that has like this cool little tassel thing. It's also a counter trap. When your opponent summons a monster with the special summons a monster, you can activate this bitch, and it negates that summoning. This is what me and my friends use in place of Solemn Strike and Solemn Warning, because let's be real, if they can't summon the monster, they can activate the effects, and it's a little faster. The only drawback is the opponent has to draw the card. That is a little disappointing. I would recommend running this if you're a budget player and you want to play at your locals. I would run 3 copies of this in any deck, as well as 2 copies of Dark Bribe to get rid of that back row. Like, even though you're giving them that +1, getting rid of the special summon, you know, and preventing them to get, I don't know, it feels like it works really well, especially if you get them on a Synchro or a Link monster or just any of that shit. Like, you can just, you know, fuck them. Literally, you can take this sharp card sleeve and fuck them with it. It's great. I lost my train of thought there. So 2 copies of Grand Horn of Heaven, and last but not least, because I drew 2 of them out of a pack, or out of something. I don't know, I had 2 copies of them. 2 copies of Solemn Strike, because again, I do consider this one of my better decks, so I am going to throw my 2 Solemn Strikes in there. I don't think I have to explain that to you. Anyway, guys, that is my Blue Eyes White Dragon deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. My apologies that it is not a budget deck. I have ordered a deck. It should be on its way sometime next week. It's going to be really great. Spoiler alert, it is one of my friends' wet dream of a deck, and I really hope you guys are looking forward to it. It revolves around Link summoning and Synchro summoning, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a really good time. I think we're all going to really like it. We're all going to band together. Just a reminder of what we're doing now that we're at the end of the video is I'm going to attempt to make several decks. that lead up to equate the value of this deck right here, which again is $109.74. So I think I can get 4 to 5 decks with the same value that this deck cost me. This isn't even my most expensive deck. We're not even there. This is my 3rd most expensive deck currently. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll probably see you guys in a few weeks. But until then, just, keep pinching your pennies and, yeah, don't pay more than $1 for a card. Toodles, you sexy bitches.